Today we're going to talk about how to play along with a metronome. And we're going to actually start out by not using a metronome. We're going to use a ball instead. And the ball is going to help you to understand how to feel the pulse. So one thing to keep in mind is that a quarter note gets one beat. If you were tapping your foot would go down and up, but it's easier to represent that with the ball. So remember, a quarter note needs both a down and an up. So here is quarter notes. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 quarter notes, and each one consists of a down and an up. You have eighth notes. There's 2 eighth notes that happen in a beat, and so that is represented by both the down portion and the up portion. So when the ball is hitting the ground, that's the number part, and when the ball is caught, that's the and part. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Those would be eighth notes. If you have 16th notes, there's 2 of them on the down portion and 2 of them on the up portion. And so you're going to have 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. And that will give you the different subdivisions. Now I'm going to start with 4 beats of quarter notes, 4 beats of eighth notes, and 4 beats of 16th notes. So you would have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. So that's how you would count with the numbers. There's another method that I like to use with my students who are sometimes getting confused with the numbers. One thing that you can also use is different words that have the same number of syllables that you're looking for. So a quarter note, we're looking for a 1-syllable word. For consistency, I've used all types of fruits. So for quarter notes, I use the word pear. And for eighth notes, I use the word apple. And for 16th notes, I use the word watermelon. So you have to get the whole word with 1 bounce of the ball. So 4 beats of quarter notes, 4 beats of eighth notes, and 4 beats of 16th notes would go like this. Pear, 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 apple, 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 watermelon, 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 watermelon. So you notice I have to speak the syllables more quickly to get them all in there, but they all have to relate to each other proportionally. Now we're going to make the transition from using the ball to playing with an instrument, and my husband Bruce is going to be bouncing the ball and counting while I play F's and G's. The first measure is going to be just quarter notes, and he is going to count to 4 while the ball is bouncing. Give me one measure for nothing and then come in.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, thank you. Now he is going to do that, and I am going to play 1 measure of quarter notes, and then I'm going to switch to eighth notes, and you will notice that I will be playing a G, an F when the ball hits the ground, and a G when he catches the ball. So these are eighth notes. 1 measure of quarter notes and 1 measure of eighth notes.
1, 2, 3, 4.
transition into 16th notes. So there's going to be 2 notes on the ground and 2 notes on the catch. So there'll be an FG when he bounces and another FG when he catches. So measure of quarter notes, measure of eighth notes, measure of 16th notes.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And you can also do it with the pears, apples, and watermelons. So, and he's going to give me 1 measure for nothing of counting off, and then there'll be a measure of pear, quarter notes, a measure of apple, eighth notes, and a measure of 16th notes, watermelons.
1, 2, 3, 4. Pear, 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 apple, 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 watermelon, 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 watermelon.
Thank you. Our next step in learning how to count with a metronome is relating the ball method to what's going on with your foot. So now I'm going to let you see my foot while I'm tapping it. So here you go with my foot. So quarter notes would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then eighth notes would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 16th notes would be 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Again, using the fruits instead of the numbers, then you'd have pear, 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 apple, 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 watermelon, 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 watermelon. So if you're doing that, that'll help you to see the downs and the ups and just relate that to how it was when you were bouncing the ball. Our next step in learning to play with a metronome is to actually get the metronome out. So I'm going to use the Tonal Energy app, and I'm going to set it to 4/4 time. And right now I have mine set to actually count numbers. There's a way you can reprogram your Tonal Energy app to do that. I just find that it's easier when I'm teaching lessons to have it doing the numbers instead of just standard clicks, but you can do either way. I've set mine to quarter note equals 60, and so it will count the numbers.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Your first job is to take your ball and try to make the ball hit the ground and drop and catch along with the metronome with the numbers. And so after you have tried that little experiment, then it's time to get your instrument out. And I'm going to be just playing very simple combination. I'm just going to be playing F's and G's, and I'm just play 1 measure of quarter notes alternating between F and G.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1.
So you can practice that a few times, and then we're going to start with 1 measure of quarter notes, and then I'm going to switch to a measure of eighth notes.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1.
After that, and you can experiment with being able to keep up with your metronome playing at that rate. And now I'm going to expand that 1 more time to 16th notes. So I'm going to do one measure of quarter notes, one measure of eighth notes, and one measure of 16th notes. And remember, on 16th notes, there's going to be 2 notes on the down part and 2 notes on the up part.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2.
So this is a exercise that you should try quite a bit first to get yourself used to playing along with the metronome, so you feel like you are with the metronome, not competing with the metronome. A lot of times I notice when students first try to play with a metronome, it seems like they're more fighting with it rather than actually using it to their advantage. So the idea is to make your notes be corresponding exactly with the metronome. I would recommend starting at 60 just to keep it slow enough that you can process all that information. If you can't accurately do the 16th notes, you might even have to bump it down a little slower than the 60 to make that work. But 60 tends to be a good place to start. And start with simple fingerings. I chose F and G because on a lot of instruments that's a fairly easy finger combination. And then you can try it on all sorts of different notes. I have some special warm-ups that I have my students do where we take one key and just do the first 5 notes of that key. So the one I just did was in the key of F. So first I have them do just F and G, then just G and A, then A and B flat, and then B flat and C. And after we've gone through all those, then we put those 5 notes together, and I have them do quarter notes and then eighth notes, and then I have them do triplets. And for triplets, you can think strawberry, 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 strawberry. So that's what I'm going to do right now.
2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So this will get you practicing quarter notes, eighth notes, triplets, 16th notes, just to give you a basic idea of how to play along with the metronome. This is going to be a very, very important skill, because when you are submitting your recordings for school, for your virtual performances, you have to be able to play along with a metronome. If you've never done that before, it can be very intimidating, and you might not really feel like you know what you're doing. So before you start working on the actual piece of music, it's important to just get acquainted with playing with a metronome, and you take really easy finger combinations first and then work up from there. For my students, I have that warm-up that I just demonstrated written out for them in all the different keys. So they're getting 5-note combinations of practice in all the different keys, which helps you for your learning your scales as well. And so we work on scales and rhythm at the same time.